There is a quiet kind of person who exists on the edge of every room, watching the way light falls across a floor and weighing 10 different possibilities before they ever speak. You know them. Perhaps you are them. They're the ones who listen more than they talk, the ones who seem to have an intuitive map of everyone else's heart, yet no one seems to have a map of theirs. They are the silent listeners, the people who know everyone, but whom no one truly knows. On the surface, this silence is seen as a virtue. The world calls it wisdom or calmness. But if you look closer, this silence isn't just a personality trait. It is often a highly sophisticated survival mechanism. For the silent listener, observation is not a hobby, it is a form of oxygen. They are the detectives of emotion, scanning micro-expressions and shifts in tone to understand the intention behind the words. They don't just hear what you say, they hear the wound you are trying to hide. But there is a heavy price for being the world's emotional translator. When you spend your life decoding the silence of others, your own voice begins to feel like a disruption. You become the reliable one, the good listener, the one who never causes trouble. And slowly, the world stops asking how you are because they've been trained to believe you are always fine. This is the paradox of the silent listener. The more you understand the world, the more invisible you become within it. This invisibility is not peace. It is loneliness dressed up in politeness. If you trace this silence back to its roots, you often find the ignored child, or the child who grew up too fast. You learned early that your needs were a burden, and that your value was tied to how well you could manage the emotions of the adults around you. You became an emotional thermostat, regulating the household's temperature while your own internal world froze over. Your brain wired itself for hypervigilance, always scanning for danger, always choosing silence as a shield to keep the peace. As an adult, this hyper-awareness makes you an incredible friend, but it makes you a stranger to yourself. You carry a false self designed to survive, a mask of calmness that hides a storm of unprocessed memories and unmet needs. You are high-functioning, but deeply neglected by the one person who should see you most, yourself. You treat your own heart like a guest at someone else's party, observed but distant. The real monster within the silent listener is not their hidden anger, but their chronic self-neglect. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, or every time you listen to a 3-hour problem while your own chest is tight with exhaustion, you are abandoning yourself. You are watering every plant in the garden except your own roots, and eventually, the gardener will collapse. True transformation begins when you realize that silence is not a requirement for love. It starts with radical honesty, the terrifying act of letting yourself be heavy and unrefined instead of useful and perfect. Healing means realizing that your sacred silence shouldn't be a prison where you hide, but a sanctuary where you rest. You don't need to be a translator for everyone else's pain to be worthy of a seat at the table. You are allowed to be the one who speaks, the one who is confused, and the one who asks for help. The world doesn't need more masks. It needs you to be real. It is time to stop being the person who knows everyone and start being the person who is brave enough to be known. Because the greatest kindness you can show is not to the world, but to the silent child inside you who is still waiting for someone to finally look them in the eye and say, "I see you," and you don't have to say a word to be loved.